Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you another event guide. This time we'll be taking a look at the upcoming collab event in FGO NA, the Case Files event. Just like with all my event guides, this is going to be a very in-depth look at the event, covering everything from the new servants and craft essences to the most efficient farming strategies. So to help you out, I've included timestamps in the description down below, so you can jump ahead to whichever part of the video you need the most. I should also mention that this event is aimed at more endgame players, so in order to participate, you need to have cleared the Lost Belt 3 prologue. But with all of that out of the way, if you're ready to dive into this event, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so that you can catch all of my event guides and spotlight videos as they go up, and you can help out the channel. And now, on to the new servants. Since this is a collab event, there are going to be quite a few new servants making their debut. I'm going to cover them very quickly, but if you'd like a more in-depth look at each of these servants, I do have a full-on servant spotlight for every one of them, and I'll link those in the description down below. But for now, let's take a quick look at the welfare servant, Gray. Gray is a 4-star assassin with a max attack of 9,456 and a max HP of 10,580. She has an AoE Buster Noble Phantasm, and she specializes in wave clearing. She's going to be a very practical and useful servant for a lot of people to pick up because farming assassins are very rare. So if you're lacking someone like Semiramis or Shuten, it's definitely worth picking up Gray. As for the premium servants that are going to be appearing on the banners, we have the 5-star Sima Yi, aka Reines. Reines is a 5-star rider with a max attack of 11,427 and a max HP of 13,543. She has a party-wide Arts Noble Phantasm that buffs all of her allies and debuffs enemies. She is an excellent support for NP-focused farming teams since she does possess the ability to charge the party's NP gauge, and she also provides very niche support for berserkers. And finally, the last new servant of the event is the 4-star Estrella, aka Luvia. Estrella is a 4-star ruler with a max attack of 9,734 and a max HP of 11,531. She has a single target Arts Noble Phantasm that inflicts massive damage. And Estrella is all about outputting tremendous DPS on enemies, so if you're in the market for a more offensive servant, I would highly recommend rolling for her. It's also worth noting that Emiya Assassin will have a rate up as well for this event, but I highly advise just rolling for Luvia while she has her solo rate up, unless you really just love Emiya Assassin. Along with the new servants, we are also going to get a brand new batch of new craft essences and command codes. Starting off with the gacha craft essences first, we have the 3-star El Malloy's Lecture Hall. This CE increases quick card effectiveness by 5% and P gain by 3% and increases leaf drops by 1. It'll increase leaf drops by 2 if you max limit break it. Outside of the event, this CE can serve as a budget craft essence for quick servants like Ushi, Fuma, and Kojiro. Moving on, we have the 4-star Prayer for Winter. This CE increases your NP gauge by 4% every turn and increases crit damage by 10%. Additionally, it will increase the bunny drops by 1 or 2 if you max limit break it. This can be useful for crit servants who like to Noble Phantasm a lot, like Valkyries, Emiya, and Ryoma. And finally, the last gacha craft essence is the 5-star Why Done It. This craft essence increases Buster Card effectiveness by 10%, NP gain by 20%, and increases clock drops by 1 or 2 if you max limit break it. This CE is pretty much built for Buster NP spam, so servants like Gilgamesh, Karna, and Santa Quetz can get a lot of mileage out of this. But in addition to those gacha craft essences, we're also going to be getting a free craft essence that you can purchase from the shop in the 5-star Meeting of the Heirs. This craft essence increases Arch Card effectiveness by 8%, and P gain by 8%, and grants 3 crit stars every turn. In addition, it will increase the appearance rate of rare enemies for the event by 15% or 30% if you max limit break it. Now this is an excellent CE for art supports and arch crit servants like Luvia, Hans, and Saberlot. Now moving on to the command codes, we have the 3-star Command Seal of a Cardinal-Minded Retainer. This command code will increase the crit damage on a Buster card by 15%. Obviously, this is built for Buster crit servants like Rama, Nobunaga, and Quetzalcoatl. The 4-star command code is going to be Spiritual Cube, which increases damage against undead enemies by 15% when attacking with the engraved card. Now, I would recommend putting this on a Buster card if you're planning on using it so you can maximize the damage, and it goes well on pretty much any servant who has an anti-undead buff like Gray, Skahawk, or Martha Ruler. And finally, the 5-star command code is Da Vinci-chan. This command code increases NP damage by 15% for 1 turn when attacking using the engraved card. And this command code pretty much works really well on any kind of single target servant who has a strong Noble Phantasm like Musashi, Kuro, and Caesar. The event shop for this event is going to be very straightforward. There are 3 different types of currencies. The bronze currency is going to be leaves, the silver currency is going to be the rabbits, and the gold currency is going to be the clocks. With the leaves, you can purchase 1 copy of the event craft essence from the shop, as well as Eternal Gears, Stakes, Hero's Proof, and 3-star and 4-star EXP, as well as 3-star foes. The rabbits will allow you to purchase another copy of the event craft essence, as well as bicorn horns, tranquil bells, forbidden pages, and saber, rider, caster, and berserker pieces. And finally, using the clocks, you can purchase another 2 copies of the event craft essence, as well as divine wine, scarabs, phoenix plumes, and saber, rider, caster, and berserker monuments. If you plan on buying out the entire shop, you're going to need 3,200 leaves, 3,200 rabbits, and 3,300 clocks. I should also mention that even though there's only 4 event craft essences in the shop, you do get a 5th one from the mission ladder, specifically for completing mission number 78, so you don't actually need to farm for a 5th copy of the event CE. And speaking of missions, this event is going to be, you guessed it, a mission-based event. If you played FGO for the past 4 months, you should be very familiar with mission-based events. But here's a quick refresher on how they work, just in case. The event is going to work just like CCC and Gouda 3 did. There will be 100 unique missions that will have you running around from quest to quest to complete certain milestones. These milestones include everything from simply beating story missions, to killing specific enemies dozens and dozens of times, to collecting a certain amount of materials, or even using a certain servant in your party. Completing these missions is going to reward you with stuff like Ascension Mats, Mana Prisms, QP, foes, extra copies of Grey, and even summoning tickets, so it is very worth your time to do them all. Additionally, some will open up access to new areas of the event, as well as story quests when you complete them. So if you're ever stuck in this event and you don't know what to do next, chances are it's a good idea to complete whichever missions you have available, since that will usually be the way of progressing. Now, I won't cover every mission since there are 100, but here are some of the more obscure ones that you might need some help with. For the mission that demands that you beat 10 lawful servants, the lawful servants are going to be Ryder Kentucky, Neocris, and Fergus. For the mission that tells you to beat chaotic servants, the chaotic servants are going to be Tamamo Cat, Cersei, Beowulf, Taiga, and Jolter. The neutral servants in the event are going to be Cleopatra and Ryder Kentucky. The dragon servant is just going to be Siegfried. The servants with mana rank A or higher are going to be Tamamo Cat, Cersei, and Semiramis. And finally, the servants with A rank luck or higher are going to be Hokusai, Beowulf, Maeve, and Semiramis. Aside from the mission-based nature of this event, Case Files is also going to feature a raid event. The raid is going to occur after about the first week of the event, and for this raid you're going to be up against the Demon Pillar Barbados. For those unfamiliar with how raids work, essentially a boss is going to appear on the event map, and it's up to all of the players on the server to kill them. Barbados is going to have a certain amount of lives, which is going to be displayed on top of the screen. For reference, in JP, he had 50 million lives. And once the server has collectively killed him that many times, he's going to be gone forever, and then the event goes back to normal. I should note that raids usually don't last very long, because the raid bosses usually drop a ton of good materials, which makes them prime farming targets. And Barbados is no exception, because he's going to drop a ton of QP, as well as Dragon Scales, Hearts of a Foreign God, Homunculus Babies, Forbidden Pages, Gears, Lanterns, Void Dust, and Assassin Gems. So in all likelihood, the raid is only going to be around for a few hours before the entire server kills him, which means you have an extremely limited farming window. As for tips on how to farm Barbados, he only has 500,000 HP, and he doesn't have any break bars, so he can be easily farmed using high damage single target alter egos and casters, like Ilya, Sanzo, Melt, Shitonai, Mecha Ellie, Shuten Caster, and Cersei. He does have the ability to randomly debuff everyone with Arts, Quick, or Buster Down at the start of the battle, so be on the lookout for that, and maybe bring a debuff clear if possible. Barbatos also has abilities that let him skill seal an ally, or even increase the cooldown on all your skills for the entire team, so longer fights against him can be troublesome. Try your best to one-shot him or kill him within 2 to 3 turns for the best return on investment. Now let's talk a little bit about the story quest and how you unlock Grey. Since this event does require you to be up to Lost Belt 3 in order to participate, the story missions are going to be harder than in typical events, and they are much more geared towards late game players. You're going to be facing a variety of different enemies, a lot of which are going to be boss fights with break bars, and even a few quests that are going to require you to survive for a few turns or wait for an enemy noble phantasm. Difficulty wise, it's going to be similar to the Lost Belts that we've done so far, and comparable to Oku and Gouda 3. Remember that story quests and free quests are going to be tied to missions, so not all of them are going to be available right away. You're going to need to complete missions to unlock new areas of the map and progress through the story, very similar to Gouda 3. There is also going to be a time lock in place for the final part of the event and the raid, so it won't be available until next week. In addition to the story quests, there's also going to be memory quests. These are going to be mini challenge quests that will have you relive some memorable battles from other events and story chapters. These memory quests are also unlocked by completing missions, and I highly advise that you complete all of them because they give some great rewards like the event command codes and ascension materials. And finally, when it comes to obtaining Grey, you're going to get your permanent copy of her when you complete the epilogue of the event, and you'll get 4 additional copies after you defeat 20 rare enemies, defeat 60 bladed wing insect enemies, clear all quests, and clear 90 missions. You'll also need 4 copies of her ascension material, Add, which you can get by defeating 20 spirit type enemies, 20 beast type enemies, 5 saber class servants, and clearing the memory replay free quest 20 times. Once you complete all of these tasks, you will have a fully ascended and leveled NP5 Grey. Now, of course, the most important part of any event is going to be farming. And for this event, we're going to have a lot of bonus servants and craft essences that are going to make farming a little bit easier. When it comes to the event bonus servants, Reines, Grey, and Luvia are going to have a 100% damage bonus as well as a 50% bond bonus. Saber Alter, Moriarty, Iskander, Waver, Da Vinci, Kiritsugu, Alexander, and Babbage are going to have an additional 50% damage bonus for this event, as well as a 20% bond bonus. And finally, Lancer Artoria Alter, Nursery Rhyme, Jack, Kentucky, Salieri, Shakespeare, and Bunyan are going to have a 30% bonus damage. There are also going to be a number of bonus CEs. The 3-star craft essence is going to increase the leaf drops by 1, the 4-star craft essence is going to increase the bunny drops by 1, and the 5-star Why Done It craft essence is going to increase the clock drops by 1. The event shop craft essence, Meeting of the Heirs, is also going to increase the appearance rate of rare enemies, which you will need to do to complete some of the missions. My general strategy for this event is going to be to get the 3-star CE from the friend point gacha first, and then focus on getting the shop CE to make completing the missions easier. Generally speaking, you should keep the copies of the event CE separate, since max limit breaking it is only going to give a 30% increase to the rare monster spawn, whereas having 3 or more separate copies gives you a much higher chance. I only suggest max limit breaking the craft essence if you get 6 or more copies. I would also heavily suggest running Mona Lisa or Bella Lisa because the free quests in this event have a very good chance of dropping a lot of QP, as does the Barbatos raid if you're planning on farming it. As for which free quests you should be farming for the currencies, the leaves are going to be best farmed in the Memories of the Counterfeit Art Gallery free quests, which is also going to drop Chaos Talons and Octuplet Crystals. The rabbits are going to be best farmed in the Memories of the CZ Zone free quest, which is also going to drop Bicorn Horns and Phoenix Plumes. And the clocks are going to be best farmed in the Memories of the Hanging Garden of Chocolates free quest, which is also going to drop Dragon Fangs and Void Dust. Now, I don't recommend spending too many apples until you reach these nodes, because these are going to be the best spots that give you the best return on your AP. And last but not least, this event will of course feature a challenge quest. Once you completed all of the event quests and missions, the challenge quest will become available. And this challenge quest is going to pit you against Alexander and Waver. Alexander is going to have 350,000 HP and 2 break bars, while Waver is just going to have 1 HP bar with 450,000 HP. In addition, when the battle starts, Alexander is going to grant himself 2 passive buffs. First, he's going to give Waver extremely high damage resistance against all types of attacks. So as long as Alexander remains on the field, Waver is going to take far less damage. Additionally, when Waver takes any damage, he's going to inflict defense down on the target servant who inflicted damage on him, and he's going to grant himself a defense up. This buff is also only going to last so long as Alexander is on the field. On top of those passives, when you break his first break bar, Alexander is going to grant himself an attack damage up and a crit damage up for 5 turns, and when you break his second break bar, he's going to grant himself a 3-turn unremovable evade and a 3-turn crit rate up. The strategy for this challenge quest is very simple. Focus Alexander. You can't kill Waver so long as Alex is there protecting him, so you're going to need to direct all of your damage towards him. After Alexander is dead, Waver is no threat at all. Thankfully, Alex doesn't have any way of protecting himself until after he loses his second break bar, so you can just unload on him. It helps to bring a buff remover like Jack, a Makusa, or Martha so that they can remove Alex's attack buffs after you break his first break bar, or they can remove any defense buffs that Waver might stack on him. Offensively, it also helps tremendously to bring along an alter ego, since they do have advantage against Waver and Alex. So servants like Mecha Ellie, Shitonai, or Melt are going to be very strong here. Otherwise, since Waver isn't as much as a threat, you can bring assassins with high single target DPS to burst down Alex. Assassins like Kama, Shiki, Wu, or 100 Face Hassan will work nicely. Holmes can also be very good here since he has a party-wide invincibility pierce, which can help you get through Alex's evade. I would also suggest bringing one single target rider like Kintoki, Ushi, or Ryoma and putting them in your back row. That way they can mop up Waver once Alexander is gone. And that just about covers everything in this event. Overall, I would recommend farming this event lightly at the start, focus on just getting that event shop craft essence, and making as much story progress as you can so that you can participate in the raid next week. Once the raid is here and all the free quests are unlocked, you can start spending apples farming those. Make sure that you complete all of the missions so that you can max out Gray, and make sure that you take advantage of the high QP drops by using Bella Lisa. Since this is such a big event, I fully expect that a lot of you guys are still going to have questions, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if this video did help you, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it really helped you. If you haven't already, do join the party over on our Discord, follow us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, all linked in the description down below. And until next time, this is Soberoni, signing out. Later.